morning and welcome to a new week on Jasiri. As always, we have great things in store for you. Lively conversations, insightful discussions, premium gist with a touch of basketballs in our hot topics. But before we dive into all of that, we have a special announcement to make. Our Gen Z ambassador Blessings is away for this week, but fear not, we've got a fabulous celebrity co-host ready to take a seat at the Jasiri table.
And that is right, rightly said, Titilola. Joining us today for the rest of the week is the incredibly talented writer and actor, Annie Icha. Annie, welcome back. I'm so thrilled to have you again on Jasiri.
I'm so glad to be here.
We locked her down.
We let her leave.
Guys, we locked her down. We really did. So tune in Monday to Friday by 10 a.m.
Oh, Captain, why did you have to say
action.
guys? What was that guys for?
Is it not too early?
So, Lolo, because I had such a fantastic weekend, I'm not going to take you
slide.
and tell you.
Oh, that's why you're wearing pure white.
Oh my God.
I'm looking for
Pure white.
Absolutely. You know what you're giving.
Pure white, pure black.
Yeah. Pure black.
You just sat down.
I love it.
She just sat down.
I love it.
I'm hustling for groundnut. It's groundnut and I think you're hearing. This is just a tip of the iceberg. You're gonna see Annie delivering a bold, opinionated take on all the topics here on this Jasiri table. Guys, ladies, how was your weekend?
You're the one smiling like a Cheshire cat. Yeah. How was your weekend? From ear to ear, grinning.
Well, my weekend was nice, fantastic. You guys don't want to know how my weekend really was. But, well, I was busy in the kitchen.
Which kitchen? There are many kitchens that cause heat and steam. There are many kitchens. A word was said.
No, flesh and blood did not reveal this to you.
Go into God. Word.
There are many kitchens that cause people to sweat.
I love my girl.
Energy is on a pure level.
Yeah.
Because whatever you did, you need to keep doing it because we need to distill some darkness out.
I see.
And
Did you hear my
right.
girl? The end. I was
You have to distill. Oh,
And
come
keep the
on.
pure light.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Oh no.
I
Say it again. We need to distill. Say it again. Say it again.
Whatever you are. When you must continue doing it whoever you are.
You need to distill. Say it again, baby.
Distill some of the darkness and let the light shine.
Oh, guys.
Come on.
Girls on Jasiri.
Tolu, you yourself know that whatever she
radiant.
did.
She's radiating.
I'm radiating. Guys. That's why we're going to be radiating on the show this week.
All right, so Catherine does not want to tell us she was busy. Was
Tolu, there's nothing of viewers. There are some things that we do not need to say out loud. But when a girl is in a very zen place, it's obvious. Her light shines. And that is our Catherine today.
Oh my God!
We need some more drama on Jasiri. As we just did that, everywhere goes dark and
the spotlight. One time. Let's leave Catherine to keep her secrets. Annie, how was your weekend?
My weekend was not as happy. I wish I had the kind of weekend you had. It was quiet. It was chill. I'm a homebody.
Is that not why you are
to bring you out this week?
Is that not why you are single? Carry this beautiful face inside your bedroom. Who will look at it?
Your pillow. Meet you in the bedroom.
Your pillow.
Hey God, I'm sorry. No,
Be sorry for yourself.
I'll go out.
You better change.
No, we're
this
taking her
year.
out this week now.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I've entered your life.
How was your weekend?
My Saturday was pretty
That's
chill.
true.
I took myself and we went to the cinema. I wanted to watch a film, and I did watch a film. It was quite chill.
Did you watch alone?
No, I had a friend with me.
But you wanted to say something else before you
Shamelessly
changed.
so, but what can I do? A girl is a girl, and of course, you go out.
And you are talking to me about having nice time this weekend.
Going out with someone to a movies doesn't mean that it ended the way your weekend
That's a
ended.
headline.
depends on
What
where you were
happens
sitting.
in the text of it, that's a headline.
Yeah,
What
so
happens
the
in text?
subtext.
The
Yes.
subtext is that I went home and had a chilled rest of
Netflix
Saturday.
and chill?
There was no Netflix scene. It was just
Just the chill.
There was
I mean,
chill.
just get on with it.
Yeah,
Just the
please.
chill.
Then we moved on to Sunday. Please leave my Saturday. Then we moved on to Sunday. I went to felicitate with my former manager, whose wife delivered triplets, Samuel, Emmanuel, and Eliana. Yes, we dedicated her, so we call her Mommy C. S-E-E. Oh, Wale.
That's beautiful.
But the food was good. That jollof rice was banging. Oh my God.
No. Talking of food, there was groundnut soup.
Tolu, we want to thank our head of co-host.
Guys,
head of host.
It needs a proper...
Lord of host. Ladies
Let
of
me do a
host.
drum roll for this groundnut soup.
Tolu blessed our culinary palette. Oui, c'est que j'ai dit là.
Culinary palette.
She blessed our culinary
I hope you're not allergic.
palette.
Not at all.
Don't worry.
Parce que ce qu'elle a préparé, hein, she made the most delicious groundnut soup ever. Kathleen, tu nous connais, non? Au Cameroun, on ne rigole pas avec sauce d'arachide.
Don't worry, we don't need to hear. Those are here.
Non. Mais la sauce que tu l'as préparée là, I'm saying that in Cameroon we don't mess with our groundnut soup. Tu comprends, non? Mais, but
This was
It was so good. She had to say it in French.
listen,
And that was the first time I would ever in my
love it.
entire life eat groundnut soup. I had never tasted it.
so good.
It was so yummy, but everybody knows I would only go to one place first for tasting. Eba. And I ever did. It was so delicious that I miced it so that I can have just a muscle to shop later.
It's okay.
I miced it. I ate it first with rice, then I miced it for this eba that you're talking about. That is, as for title.
I'm sorry, I owe you. I owe you. Ladies, we need to move on.
Let's move
I
on.
just have an IOU for you. Obviously, everybody's weekend was fantabulous. You can see the energy, the radiation, that glow. But besides that, we also need to, of course, take some time and congratulate Palumi Newbie on her remarkable and adventurous journey.
Yes.
Now, Palumi's adventure is truly one for the books. Can you imagine driving all the way from London to Lagos? She definitely has some incredible stories to share, and we anticipate having her share those stories this week on Jasiri. 68 days. And don't forget that she had an accident about a week and a half ago. So the challenges, all of that. And unfortunately, as I was following her, the challenges really started in West Africa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shame on you people who thought she couldn't make it.
That's another,
Shame on you guys, because there's some people who actually came up, pop on planes,
So that she wouldn't be able to do it,
Or that she was even faking.
Yeah, you know, when people,
faking.
I think that when you have a big dream, people who have sort of put their dreams away, they're the first to shut you down because it reminds them of the things that they haven't done or they've chosen not to do. Yeah, I think that's where those kinds of criticisms come from.
I concur, baby.
But anyway, she has a lot of attention. She got to Lagos with fanfare and all of that yesterday. And we look forward to seeing her on the Jasiri table to share the highlights, the lowlights. You know, when she started, people really weren't following. This is what will always happen. And then as Annie said, now she's here to this rancorous, reception. Also meeting, I think, the very first man who also did this journey, Lagos to London to Lagos, and he's done the journey like 4 times as well. But Palumi deserves all of this. She's a single woman on this road, or she's just a woman alone, not even single, whatever. A woman alone on that journey, 68 days through multiple countries, border checks, cultural issues and whatnot. But she's safe in Lagos, and we look forward to seeing her on the Jasiri. Congratulations, Palumi.
Congratulations.
You're brave. Very brave.
Like it or not, there are lessons we learned.
There's a lot. Resilience is one of it because most of the time we have dreams, but you push, then you just lose steam. So we're really, really, really proud of her. Okay.
And then there's also the fact that if you have it, like they say, stubborn spirit, if you're determined and to fight all the odds and to go against all the odds, guys, you can. It's amazing how much you'll discover that you can do. Once you get through and break through all the barriers, or whether it's cultural setback, or there's so much to glean from this journey. For example, I would take away the fact that don't procrastinate and keep procrastinating, because we do that a lot. And it's okay, we do that a lot. Okay, I'll do it next year, I'll do it in 3 months, I'll do it in 6 months. Just plan something and do it. I was talking to Mazino, Lola and I earlier today, and Mazino was saying, I should take a road trip somewhere, that one that's always on bike.
You were talking this morning, you were talking about it this morning. Yeah.
Annie was
Are you
there
going to do
as well.
it?
No.
But I've done bike on 3rd Mainland Bridge at 2 a.m. The
Why?
stretch of the.
So I doesn't want to
I
ask
can't finish the
how.
story. That's
Can you tell us? Is it
from
not-
club. 3rd Mainland Bridge, middle of the night in this Lagos. We didn't see probably 3 cars.
Where was Reverend Doctor?
In his
Good
house in
question.
Ogbomoso.
There are some things that are left for Jasiri uncensored.
I love it. And let's go for a break. Let's go for a break.
All right, guys, we will be going on a short break now, but stay locked in because when we return, we will be delving into a very crucial conversation that demands all our attention.
Yes.
So stay tuned. Don't wander off. Jasiri returns shortly.
You got it. Welcome back. We're streaming live on our social media platforms. We're at New Central TV. Please use the hashtag Jasiri to be part of the conversation so we know you're watching. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a critical issue plaguing our society. That's domestic violence. According to recent statistics, nearly 1 in 4 Nigerian women has experienced some form of domestic violence in her lifetime, and many believe that the number is higher than that. Those numbers are staggering and deeply troubling. Behind each statistic is a story of pain, fear, and injustice. Joining us to shed light on this pressing issue is someone who has been at the forefront of the fight against domestic violence. She is the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi. Welcome to Jasiri. Welcome so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us. Titilola, I want us to dive in because this is what you do, advocacy and awareness. We've had conversations over the years, and I have to really say that one thing I appreciate Lagos State for is being at the forefront of this. And your agency, which was then DSVRT, it was a task force then, and now it's a fully fledged government agency. Can you share some of the misconceptions about domestic violence? In the work that you do, the cases you've seen, the situations you've handled, what are some everyday factors that even seem to contribute to domestic violence, particularly in our society?
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for having me. I think domestic violence is a topic that for so long has been shrouded in secrecy. A lot of people are not able to come to terms with the fact that it is happening. And then a lot of people are not aware that there are different forms of violence that amount to domestic violence. So traditionally you hear things like, oh, did he beat you? Did she beat you? He didn't beat you. So what's the problem? But there is emotional abuse, there's verbal, there's psychological, there's stalking, there's forceful ejection from the home, there's harassment, there's economic abuse, right? So there's so many issues that people are not familiar with that amount to domestic violence. And so there's a lot of denial. And then there's also a low level of reporting. And then let's not forget that at least 80% of the cases that we get, there's no real evidence. The real evidence, meaning pictures, medical report, police report, there's nothing. So most times it's always a case of, he did it, I did not do it.
Your word
He
against
said,
hers.
she said.
Yes. So how do you prove it?
Very, you know, this thing, it's something that has become something topical. Everybody has contacted it some way or the other, no matter what you do. But this domestic violence thing seems to have become a cycle that many women stay for
Because
their
of the
children. They don't even understand it because they think they're doing it for the right reasons. A lot of women actually think that if I leave my home or break it, I'll be breaking my children.
Yes.
So they stay in homes where violence is, and they do not even realize the impact that it has on their children. And sometimes, from what I'm sure you've seen a lot, where children become abusers themselves, and not just boy children, both boys and girls, and both boys and girls too can become victims because this is something they're so used to. Can you enlighten us a
You know,
little
you're
more?
so spot on. We are all a product of our socialization. We're all a product of what we saw growing up. You know, I always say children are like sponges. It's what you put in, when you squeeze, it's what you bring out. And that is why the narrative truly must change. People must live because of the children. A situation where we're bringing up children in broken homes, children are being brought up in toxic environments. They are brought up in environments that normalize violence. It's not a cause to say that that child will grow up to perpetuate or be attracted to somebody that will do it. It's just normal, especially when that child does not access psychosocial support. And so our advocacy is really, live to live. Live to live doesn't necessarily need to be divorce. And this is the point. People think that when we encourage survivors to break the culture of silence and speak up, we're saying live as per divorce. No. It's a person that is alive that can work on their marriage, right? And it's also the fact that when we bring up children in abusive environments, we're doing more harm than good. And truly, there is a phenomenon referred to as the cycle of abuse. If you've been privileged to meet with people that experience violence, maybe the two parties, and you engage, and you're able to get to that point where the alleged perpetrator is vulnerable enough, he or she will tell you that this is what they saw. In fact, there was a gentleman, we invited him, the woman asked us to invite him. And he couldn't understand why she reported. He was like, the nerve of this woman to report me to Alausa. My father, he didn't know when he said this. My father beat my mother to the point where she collapsed. And I just gave her a slap. And she's reporting me to Alausa.
Wow.
So at that point, I just looked at him and I said, wow. He is a victim of intimate partner violence to the point where he believes that it's normal,
Wow. Now that you mentioned men also being involved, but being the ones who are doling out the domestic violence, and we know that majority of the talk is around women who are at the receiving end of domestic violence. We also cannot deny that men also have been victims of that. Now, in the cases you've seen and handled, based on the work that you do, how have those cases played out? Are the cases that involve men being on the receiving end higher than the cases of, are they growing as statistics? If you want to plot the graph now, looking at it like in the past 5 years, do you see that it's a rising trend? Because Lolo mentioned something important, that children who grow up in that kind of environment become abusers and also become victims as well. So, and it's both men and women, both boys and girls.
Yeah, so 2022, I think we attended to 144 men.
What?
144.
In 2022?
Yes, 2022. 2023 was 353.
Wow.
It's slightly increased. But the flip side, for women, last year was over 3,000. So we know that, patriarchy is the enemy of both genders.
Yes.
Patriarchy will make a man remain in silence because how dare me, how can I report? In fact, you go to a police station, they beat you, you be man, So it is happening. The data, I love data, right? Data shows us that there is increase in reporting from men, but it's not at the same degree with what we do with women. But when men report, men talk about not a lot of physical abuse. You have emotional, verbal abuse. You have deprivation of access to children.
That's huge.
That's the main one, actually. So emotional, verbal, and psychological. And then a bit of stalking, right? But then funny, well, not funny, but interestingly enough, majority of the men don't want to prosecute.
Shame.
They don't want to prosecute.
Because of the shame.
Yes, perhaps. Or also because of the children. They don't want to be seen to be dragging the mother of their child to court, And so sometimes it feels like as if we're not doing as much as
for the men.
For the men. But then, when we're talking about adults, they have a right of client determination.
Yes.
There's a limit to what we can do as government. Do you get the point?
Yes.
So it's a bit difficult.
Wow.
I would like to ask you, there are traditional and cultural aspects to domestic violence. I mean, we live in a place where traditional rulers, leaders say things like, you must never get a divorce. That you were beaten is not enough reason for you to leave your matrimonial home. And women somehow seem like they're almost owned by their husbands, especially within these parts of this part of the world. I'd like to know, how has the traditional system, our traditional beliefs, our culture, how has it affected the ability to advocate for change within this domestic violence area?
Awesome question. Religion and tradition play a huge role in shaping mindsets, behavioral mindsets as well. I'll give an example. So we had a lady a while back, came into the office, like literally crime scene emotion.
Oh, wow. Crime scene?
Yes, like bruises, you know. She came in fresh. And so everybody got up, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to. The next day she calls and says, oh, her pastor said that. Her pastor said that, you know, let's take it easy, step by step. The devil is out to break their home, you know, like let's just watch it. So we said, okay, let's watch it. Let's watch it. The next week she comes and says, you know what, just act like as if I didn't even report. This is a while back. And I just remembered how that affected the officer, the case officer's morale. Because truly everybody got up to assist that woman. And then that got us thinking. This is a critical stakeholder, the religious clerics and the traditional institutions and community leaders. A lot of issues are settled at that level, right? You hear cases where they are settling domestic violence, defilement in a palace. And you're wondering what's going on. And so what we try to do and what we are doing is engaging those stakeholders, building their capacity to be able to provide service, because whether we like it or not, people will be more comfortable to go to those people. And so the point is, when they get to the church, when they get to the mosque, when they open the Bible, they open the Quran, religious clerics must know that they must have, there's a point where they must have interface with government. You cannot be mediating. You want to mediate to the grave. And then it gets to a point where the woman is having mental health crisis. She has to be admitted for psychiatric evaluation, and you are mediating. So that we came up with different programs strategically for these religious clerics. And I'm happy to note that we're now getting cases from the churches, from the mosques, that we've been mediating, but it appears that it can no longer control. That is imminent, and we need to escalate. And I think that's the way to go.
So, Titilola, I want to follow up on that, because you shared the story of the man who said his wife had the audacity to report him because he had seen his father do it. And so right now it's going to be a three-part question, because one, can abusers change with enlightenment? Because it's very rare to hear that somebody who was an abuser then stops abusing. But we have seen victims leave and have a new type of life. One. The second part of that is, in terms of the work you do mediate. I know you do bring couples to the table. So sort of take us through the process and where the process then goes from, okay, we have to let you go and go forth and sin no more and go forth and meet yourself in court. So what is the process? Because we would love a situation where we're able to bring people to the mediation table and we find out that the cause of the domestic violence is maybe because the man lost his job, which is a major factor, especially in a country like Nigeria. Poverty becomes a contributing factor to incidents of domestic violence. So can abusers change? How far can mediation from your end go? And then what is sort of the process you take when people come to you, when a couple is referred to you, when a wife comes to you, what do you go through?
Loaded.
Is that so necessary?
So nobody is born an abuser. It's a learned behavior that can be unlearned. And again, well, you know, we're a product of our socialization. The problem is, majority of perpetrators of domestic violence are in denial. In fact, it go from I never hit her to I hit her 2 years ago. Okay, it was yesterday. Okay, madam, ask her why I hit her. But we've had success stories where the alleged abuser is vulnerable enough to admit that they have a problem. And so when you admit that, it is said that when you admit, it's 50% solved.
A problem shared is a problem half solved.
And so at that point, we have clinical psychologists that now provide psychosocial support at no cost. All our services at no cost. And they are entitled to attend at least 6 therapeutical sessions. And we record successes where they are vulnerable and they are genuinely remorseful. But again, you know, if a person doesn't think he's at fault or she's at fault, even you referring for psychosocial, they will say, am I mad? I'm not mad. So how can you provide support to somebody that is in dire need of support, you know? So we do record successes when parties are willing to submit themselves for counseling. The second question you asked, so domestic violence. It's not, okay, let me answer it this way. Sexual violence is straightforward to a certain extent. You know, a person is raped or defiled, medical intervention, medical examination, police, courts, jail, hopefully. Domestic violence, because one of the things domestic violence does to a survivor, it takes away their capacity to make a choice, client self-determination. So as a responder, you are not there as an advisor. There's a very, very thin line between counseling and advice. Counseling tells you these are the options available to you. You can go for restraining order, you can go for counseling, you can file for divorce, you can file for judicial separation, you can go to access maintenance. These are the options. If you take option A, these are the pros, these are the cons. And then the case officer is then, the survivor is then empowered to take an informed decision. And you take an informed decision based on the facts. So for instance, if there's no evidence, how do you go to court and ask for a restraining order? Or how do you go to court and ask for him or her to be jailed? Right? The court is not emotional. They are facts. So that's why most of these cases are diverted to mediation. So in my office, we don't do mediation in its real sense. Right? Mediation is unbiased, umpire, two parties. Mediation, the mediator is calm. No, we are government. At certain times, we have to put our foot down. So we do a mix of mediation and negotiation, medneg. Right.
How do you negotiate with the
because you can when it comes to different things. So like when we're talking, let's say you've addressed the domestic violence. Okay, what's the way forward? I want to leave the house. I want him to provide accommodation, or I want him to leave the house. I want him to be providing maintenance. I want the children to be in this HMO. Negotiation comes in. Okay, I can no longer afford 100,000. I'm going to afford 10,000. But why? Because you are fighting with the mother. You visit the sins of the mother and the child. That's negotiation. But then the problem is when we don't have enough evidence, it limits our capacity to negotiate. You know. But when there's evidence, literally, I will just be exposing kiwi in your mind, and then you would.
I'm listening, and I know a lot of our viewers are getting more enlightened because I found out that as enlightened as I am on this table, there's still so many things that I'm learning from sitting down that people need to know that there are more ways to do these things. And you know, because you had an agency, I know we talk about mental health for the people that come in, but I know that sometimes it can be very overwhelming for you as an agency because I have seen, in my own little capacity, I've seen recurrent people, as in it's perpetual. You've done everything your agency should do, but it keeps, it's like a cesspool of, if not be saying I here with that, for saying a demonic influence, because it's not natural. I have one of my friends.
You said it.
Yeah. No, this one is funny because when he beats her up, he would stay, she would come home, he would stay outside the house in his car for 1 week. He won't bath, he won't go, he won't eat, he will be rolling on the floor in the sand.
That's what it is.
And she would cry and say, he's sorry. Unfortunately, is a friend that told this to me, but she passed.
Oh no.
He hit her on the wall of the house and he left her to go to work. He didn't know, honestly, that she had bled out. So by the time he returned, of course, she was late.
Is he in jail?
Probably not.
He's not.
Probably not. Yeah, probably.
Because it's not like, I don't know. It's just Yoruba will say obuso se no, obuso si, otu fi your si. You don't know which to swallow. As in, they fart in your mouth and they put salt in it. So you don't know if you should swallow the salt fart or you should. So in those extreme conditions or extreme occurrences, what do you do? Is there a veto that madam can say, I don't care what you think, madam, I'm taking you out?
Yes, there is. But it's tough. So there's a classic example like this. It wasn't even the lady that reported. It was her mom. And the mom said, the man called her and said, if she doesn't come and take her child, she will take the child as a corpse. So the woman got up and said, I can't be here now. This is a girl, I'm a single mother. I raised this girl, sent her abroad. How can my daughter just pass? So she came to the office and reported. So the domestic violence law actually allows us as a state or as other organizations to apply for a restraining order in certain instances without the consent of the survivor.
Without the complainant.
Yes.
Okay.
So in this instance, the mom was the complainant.
Yes. So.
But then, unfortunately, the survivor is still the witness. There was a case we handled a while back again. I was the one that handled it back in the days. The woman said she did not want us to go ahead. I said, no, we are going to court. We got to court. This woman raised up her hand and said, Madam, my lord, Lagos State is trying to break my home. Wow. And the magistrate looked at me and said, Madam, what's happening? So it is a big issue. But then for us, aside, and that is why we no longer look at jail for domestic violence, because it's bigger than that. Have we ever, taken a pause and tried to understand why this woman wants to remain in this relationship? Is it because she's financially dependent? Is it because society has told her that she must be married and it's not enough for her to be married, she must stay there? It's the responsibility of making the marriage a success is on her. It's not enough for her to have a child, she must have a male child. There's so much pressure on society, from society on this person. And this person feels that she is a failure if she leaves the marriage.
Her mom was a single mom.
And the mom was a single mom. I don't want what happened to my mom to happen to me and to happen to my daughter. Right? So for us, what we'll now place a huge premium on is counseling. And when I talk about counseling, I mean psychosocial support. I don't mean counseling, I mean therapy. On the psychology, understanding your behavior. Why are you the way you are? And then if you want to remain in that relationship, can we empower you with coping skills?
How do you cope with them? Titilola, how do you cope with them?
I'm even wondering about their mental health. The workers in the agency, because sometimes it can border on,
we are
like you don't know what to do.
How do you
vicarious
cope
trauma.
with abuse?
So that's the thing. Tolu, the truth is that some people, even if you drag, okay, I give you another example. There was a lady we empowered because we have a trust fund that is for high-risk survivors. And so it's supposed to assist for different things, so accommodation, business and stuff. We paid directly to the landlord. My sisters.
She left.
No. She moved to the house. And the husband came and started living. So, in that kind of situation,
What are you going to do?
but we don't have the luxury of giving up. We are government. So again, it's, madam, what do you need? What do you want? What is the attachment to this man?
The Stockholm syndrome.
Exactly. So you see, that's where counseling comes in. How can we empower this woman so that she gets to a point when she says, I deserve better
than this.
I deserve better than this.
I think you're right. That's what it comes down to.
I need you to ask this next question because our society.
All right. So let's say you're at a family gathering, a party or something, and you notice certain behaviors from a man or a woman or a person that we are assuming is the abuser. And we know that there's social etiquette that prohibits us from interfering in certain ways. But what are the things that you can do when you spot or because sometimes we have intuition that something is wrong. And oftentimes we just walk away. We just say, well, it's not my business. But what are the things that you can do, first of all, to spot abuse in public settings like that? And then what can you do about it? Like practically, what can you practically do to say, listen, I see there's a problem? Because in other places they say, if you see something, say something. Exactly. What's the version of that for us here?
What's our individual responsibility?
Yes.
So, at DSB, we say we are all mandated reporters. And at PROCO, I own it. And perhaps we should all own it. Because we should, for selfish reasons. Because the truth is, even if you train your child is going to eventually go out.
My sister.
And meet with other children. And you don't know where those children are coming from. So, there are red flags. In relationships, there are red flags. There are red flags, you can see, possessiveness, anger, the way he or she speaks to his staff, isolation, quick involvement. I meet you today, marry tomorrow.
Love bombing. It's actually called love bombing.
Exactly.
It has a name. Something like that. Love bombing.
That's exactly what
Thank God I wasn't love bombed.
It takes over your life. You think this person is perfect.
And then 6 weeks later, they start withdrawing and you're going to be like, what is it? So it's like getting you a high, taking the high away, and then you control you. It's called love bombing.
These things that you're talking about, that's why I keep saying that we need more advocacy.
Yes.
We need more education. I'm on this table and I'm hearing love bombing for the first time.
Wow.
I know it as a concept, but I
has
didn't
a
know
name.
that it was something that has been pulled out and know that this is a thing.
Oh, yeah. It's deliberate because they don't want you to see who they really are.
Did they really?
Not picking up anyway. Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
This is why Jasiri exists.
Oh my God. I was in a relationship last year. I met the guy in April. In like May, he was already talking marriage. Oh no. When I call my sister, everybody's like, Lolo, what's up? Why are you, what's the hurry? And when it was scary. When I just turned around, I said, I just told myself that I don't have to do this. And I began to notice some behaviors that were out of order. This one is, you know, when they say spiral, maybe because I've been single for a long time since my divorce, everybody just thinks that, oh, maybe I don't need a relationship or I'm not just open to remarriage. I wanted to, but I didn't even know that love bomb was something. When I even met his own people, they asked me, do you know him?
That's a good question. No,
are you sure? You know his behavior. That was what his own people said. I was stunned. I had to like
Pause.
I wear my glasses.
Very well.
So look well. And I now began to see patterns. I even offered counseling and therapy. And when you hear a man say things like, what do they have to say?
Exactly.
Who are
You
they?
already know that's
What do they know?
That's a red flag.
My sister, it was a crimson flag. The blood of Jesus flowing flag. But women, I would talk maybe from my own perspective that I had a bit of education and I have support. But there are so many women because they feel they need love. And they would just manage. People have told me things like, so you don't bring yourself down. That's why nobody has married you again. And I know it's not about that. It's you cannot be married once. I've been married once. I can't marry again without understanding. It's better you just chill. But I know women in my own single women's circle that think, at least he came. He saw all I am. And he still wants to choose me. No, you are good enough to be chosen by anyone. So we shouldn't feel that gratitude. I think there must be a name too. When women feel too much gratitude.
I'll look for it and I'll tell you.
That's, thank you for having me with my baggage.
It's called low self-esteem.
Because that's one.
When women, you were saying earlier on that there's a way that there's so much on women in Nigeria. So much. It is your responsibility to be chosen. You can be everything in this life.
If
and
there's
you're not
no
married, if some man hasn't come to claim you, all of that is for naught. Yes. So you have all of that in the minds of women when we're doing these things. And education, honestly, is the answer. A reconditioning of the mind.
And the society.
And the society. That you are complete and whole as you are. You always have been, whether you're with a man or not.
Titilola, they want us to wrap, but I have to ask a final question. Because we've done a lot, and I hope people have really taken something away. But in terms of keeping the momentum going, the small steps, all of us considering ourselves first responders, mandated reporters, and when we see something, we say something to agencies like your own. What do you think are the top 3 things individually we can all do to help fight domestic violence? It's killing people, it's breaking homes, it's leaving children with adults that become traumatized and walk around with trauma and then perpetrate that trauma for their next generation.
Okay, so I think first one is there's a role of a bystander. True, that scenario you painted, you have a duty to do something. You know somebody that is experiencing violence, you have a duty to encourage that person. It may not necessarily be that report him, let him be jailed, but if you need to speak with someone, this is a number. This is a toll-free line. You can speak with a counselor, you just have a duty to do something when you see those red flags. I think secondly, we all have platforms. You don't know, but people are watching. You may think you just have 2 followers on Twitter, but you can influence those 2 followers. We are in communities, we are in churches, we are in mosques. I think the idea is let's all take ownership of this. It's not a government, NGO, school. It's each of us, we all have a responsibility to play. And then I think thirdly, when we see survivors break the culture of silence, let us encourage them.
Yes.
Let us not shame them.
Yes.
And if we don't have anything valuable to add to the conversation, let's keep quiet.
Amen.
Wow.
She was like, I just want
to say thank you so much, Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi, the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, for sharing your insights and expertise on this particular important topic, and for all the incredible work that you do to make our communities safer and more resilient. And on that note, we will go for a break, but when we return, it will be hot topics. So it's already hot in the studio. I don't know what can be hot. Just be ready. We'll be right back. And I'm happy.
Guys, welcome back to Jasiri. Yeah, that's my girl Lola at the background. She's been, we've been having this conversation after, I like her name, Vivour. After she left the, after Titi left the studio, we've been having the conversation at the background. But now, let's shift gears a bit. It's time for Hot Topics.
And Nigeria wants to also help us add another hot topic to our conversation. But breaking news coming in right now, the Edo State Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, has been impeached. Again, that is the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has been impeached by the State Assembly. Now, this comes after the adoption of the reports of a 7-man panel that investigated allegations of misconduct against him. So again, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has been impeached. This is coming after there was a panel set up to investigate some allegations of misconduct. That panel says that apparently he was guilty, and now the State Assembly has impeached him. This is a story that is just now breaking. We'll continue to develop throughout the day. Don't forget that at 12 o'clock, we'll have News Central Now coming your way, and we'll have a full breakdown of what this story means for Edo State, of course, as well as the governorship election that is coming up in the state as well.
Guys, it's stewing everywhere. What a way to start the week. Okay, so that's our official first hot topic. Now, our unofficial hot topic for Jasiri is close to home and hearts. This is the impending demolition of Nigeria's beloved landmark beach. That's right, guys. Landmark beach. It's not just any beach. It's a cultural icon. It's a haven for tourists and a vital part of Lagos's identity. But now, all that is under threat. The Nigerian government's plans to pave the way for a superhighway have sparked outrage and debates. Landmark beach, guys. Landmark. I can't imagine Lagos without landmark beach.
Do you know how many events that are, do you know how,
events,
do you know how many very major events that have happened in that place?
New York.
There are so many businesses. I just wonder that, didn't they have this in the master plan from the get-go?
So he came out with an initial statement after the notice from the state government was given to him. Again, I'm also saying that notice gave him 7 days to move something as extensive as that. A place that is over $200 million in investment, 4,000 plus jobs. So he came out with a statement and said basically that when he bought the land, that was not the intended, it was not on the intended route of the coastal highway. So somehow the route of the coastal highway has changed, and now it wants to take part of, at this point, it's not even part of, because even if they say it's part of, it affects the whole ecosystem there. So there's a lot of things going on with this simple conversation. But again, for me, it goes back to some government things. Why, even at the end of the day, if government is government, you get to do what you want to do. You look at that kind of place, and you say you have 7 days to evacuate, 7 days to evacuate, to take 7 days.
You know, but I just want to know that, I just want to believe that whoever owns landmark is not a small fry.
He's not at all.
So this is something that, there are sometimes people think you can't battle government, but you can battle them if you have the resources, if you know your right. So I don't think, if this is something ongoing, it should just get to court first and get a stay of execution.
But you know, I don't know if I can say this, but as you just spoke about going to court and doing things the legal way,
that's an injunction.
In a place like Nigeria, let's be honest, we all know where we are. it seems like there are things or people that are above the rule of law.
The government itself.
Exactly. So what is your assurance that you will go within your rights and justice will be served?
Yeah,
but it's the who. That is the operating question.
Well,
there are so many
it shouldn't be about a who. Because there are enough court orders right now, whether it's Lagos State or this country, that has told government hold state, hold movement, hold action. Government has done nope. Government has gone ahead to do what it wants.
You see, it's not about us being emotional about the cultural heritage, the memories, the everything that represents landmark beach to people. There are people who will be happy about it. The environmental impact, look at how the construction of the superhighway will affect that delicate ecosystem.
Yes.
And we know that system is delicate. That the entire,
and you know
there's
the
been a lot of work
now.
that has been
It's a stretch.
Catherine, it's a stretch now.
Yes.
There's the good beach on that state still dot axis. There's your Niru at the front.
There's so
it's a lot.
You guys are also talking about that. Remember what I said about 4,000 jobs and everything? Think about this in terms of the investors. Nigeria unfortunately has a bad reputation of flip-flop when it comes to policies. Investors will bring the money in, they'll wake up and one government policy can wipe up everything and that is not a reputation we want to have. Nigeria also has a reputation of having some of the highest contract fees in the country because somebody somewhere is inflating the contract. So things that should cost us maybe 5 million end up costing Nigeria 50 million. So you think looking at this, he's also saying investors are saying they want to pull out. They want to pull out loans in this
because
thing.
I was wondering, that's what my question. Like, I was going to ask Tolu, what do you think that this man, what do you think is on his mind now? How do you think he's going to approach this? Because he has a lot going on. There's investments. There's
and do you know that I have to really, honestly, that man is going through a lot and a lot is going through him. Because you know that it took a while for that place to catch.
Yes.
And his investment was already in the ground before people agreed to do events on that axis. I've been in this entertainment space for a long time, so I know how long it took people to warm up to that corner and begin to have high-profile events there.
I think there's a point also to be made because they released a statement on the 5th as well. Good news, but we don't know how good the news will be, how it will continue to be. But in a statement from the Landmark Group, it said that they are pleased to announce that constructive dialogue has led to a promising development. As a result, we are exploring win-win solutions, including the possibility of rerouting a 1.5 kilometer section of the coastal road to its original location. So he was telling you the truth, along the undeveloped Water Corporation Road median. This solution aims to minimize the impact on existing businesses while facilitating the progress of the commendable infrastructure project. The question is, why wasn't that the option before government came to go?
My own is why suddenly you want to Lagos Calabar? What's Jasiri people there? Suddenly you just close and open and say, I would want to do Lagos to
Remember, it's a federal project.
What's going on there?
Lagos to Calabar, Super Coastal Highway.
You know there's a lot of money that is going to be involved in that.
Super Coastal Highway that would take super coastal long time.
And we need to leave before they chase us out of the studio. Over to you.
All right, everybody. This is where we say goodbye on today's episode of Jasiri. A big thank you to Titilola Vivour-Adeniyi, Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency. Thank you for sharing such insight with us today on fighting domestic violence in Nigeria. I hope you enjoyed today's show and enjoyed me as a co-host. Join us tomorrow again for another exciting episode. Until then, stay informed, stay empowered, and stay fearless.
That's
Bye-bye.
it.
Goodbye, everyone.
It wasn't so bad.